Hello there. I am shooting some artwork today, and I thought this information would be appreciated by some of you. I'm shooting metallics. The artist's name is Kelly Williams, and she loves painting with gold. Several of my artists do. They all have fairly low expectations of how it's going to come through when photographed, but I, being the kind of guy I am, I'm always trying to learn and trying to do things better and figure out alternative ways that are gonna give us better results. So the last shoot I did was for a different artist named Jasmine Starr, and she had some metallics in her pieces, much more subtle, but she also had glossy varnish on all of them. So to take care of the gloss, I approached the shoot by using my polarizing film on my strobes and a circular polarizer on my camera. I don't shoot a lot of glossy stuff, so I haven't been doing this all the time. I've messed with it a couple times and gotten pretty good results. I got extraordinary results with Jasmine's pieces. She was super stoked and I was super stoked how easy the glossy surfaces were to take care of, but also how well the metallics came through. So when Kelly brought me these pieces, the first thing that came to mind was, let's try them first with a circular polarizer. Now, on top of the metallics, another challenge with Kelly's pieces is a couple of them are like this. They're paper, the edges are very torn up, and there's a lot of depth to it, there's a lot of texture, and there's a lot of metallics. So she was interested in like a drop shadow with a black background, so I decided that I wanted to lay these on the ground, which is why my camera is up like that, and shoot them laying on a piece of black foam core. And that way I could get the entirety of the piece, I could have a black background, and I wouldn't have to deal with any cutting and pasting and background removal in Photoshop, because that's just extra work. So I shot this piece first, and the circular polarizer did really, really good. The metallics really popped through, but I had the same problem that I've had in the past with some metallics where some of them just vanished. This row of dots, if you can see it in the video, yeah. That row of dots just disappeared. So I took a couple shots, I put my gray card down, I got my exposure set, took a couple shots, and then I simply rotated the polarizer on the end of my camera. If you don't understand circular polarizers, landscape photographers use these to deal with reflections on like the surfaces of water. When I used to shoot and I would be photographing a creek or something like that, and there's reflections on the surface of the water, you can rotate the polarizer and it can remove the reflections and allow you to see basically the bottom of the creek. It's a really, really cool thing to use. I personally didn't use mine much unless I was photographing water. But here we're using the same theory where we're rotating it and it's gonna affect the reflections on the surface, and the results were absolutely fantastic, as you can see here. So in this first image, you're gonna see the before, and the second image, you're gonna see the after. Notice how much these circles come through. So now, as I'm shooting these, I haven't processed them yet, so as I'm shooting these, I'm just gonna take a shot, I'm gonna rotate the polarizer, take another one. I'm gonna take 3 or 4 shots of each piece after I get it exposed properly, and then I'll have those images. Hopefully one will work, but if I need to blend them just to get certain aspects of one to punch through on another one, then we have that option. After I shoot the 2 paper ones, I'm gonna set the easel up and we're gonna do some more of her metallics that are on a firm background, like this one, rigid background, like this one, and we'll see how that goes. All right, so I'm shooting a piece on my easel now, that piece that I showed earlier that has the really large patch of gold, and I'm taking shots and then rotating my polarizer to see which one comes through the best on the back of my camera. And it's the same time it's shooting the pictures over to my computer, but they look significantly different whenever I shoot and whenever I rotate. When I find the image, the situation that I like that look the best on my camera screen, then I'm going to shoot my gray card again because I need to re-expose. Because as you rotate the polarizer, it's going to change your exposure. So I got where I think looked as good as I can for the large gold area. I've moved the lights. I have not been able to do anything that allows the entire gold to be basically solid. But I got it the best that I think I can. And that made some of the other parts of the piece a little bit more reflective. So what I'm going to try to do is use that, and then I'm going to try to rotate it and get a couple of the other areas a little better, re-expose, and then blend them together later if I need to. Well, that was tough. I got all of Kelly's pieces shot. Used the polarizer on all of them. I only have one that was really difficult, really tricky. It's this one. It had a very large, solid gold, basically, area on it, and I could not get that to come through. I moved the lights to several different places. I took 50 shots with the polarizer, turning it constantly. It's still way better than it would have looked without it, and she was happy with it because she understands the difficulty of metallics. But I can definitely say that the circular polarizer made a huge difference, and it was really amazing how essentially the shot would look completely different after small rotations. Like some reflective metallic spots would be completely invisible and then they would jump out. But it is really important that once you get that set, you re-expose for the new scene, as the circular polarizer is going to change the exposure. Sorry for the jump in the video. As I was editing, I realized that I never mentioned that for that piece that I had a lot of trouble with, I actually did blend two together. And I blended the two main gold spots with the rest of the piece. It's the only piece that I needed to do this with, and this is the only piece I struggled with at all. I actually didn't need to turn the polarizer much for most of these, but I wanted to add that info. So if anybody out there has any other options, other thoughts of how to do this, aside from using constant lighting, I have front windows along the front of my shop. I just can't deal with ambient light when I'm shooting my art, and it's never really been an issue with me, except for with really bad reflections. And at least with constant lighting, you can just move the lights until you don't see the reflections. But I think as long as you're lighting something from angles on the side, you're gonna get reflections. Now, another thing is, generally to fight reflections, I push my lights basically as close to the same plane as the piece as I can and try to cast the light kind of in front of it as opposed to just at it. But with the reflective stuff, I actually had better luck if I brought the lights more out at a 45 or maybe even a little bit less of an angle, more in front of the pieces, and got the light to bounce right back off of it as opposed to across the front of it. I hope that makes sense. So any suggestions out there on an alternative workflow to do this, I'm all ears. I hope this was helpful to some of you. I'll list the polarizer I use and the lighting I use in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and have yourself a fantastic day.
My first and last mistake. I'm blue without your faith. But what can I do? 'Cause I'm just a